Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at one of the most impactful move updates in the Season 17 balance patch, and that is Rock Slide being given to Vigoroth. Vigoroth previously was stuck with Bulldoze, a move that is not only expensive, but also has terrible damage per energy. But now it has Rock Slide. Rock Slide is 15 energy cheaper, nearly the same damage, and offers Vigoroth way better coverage than it had before, and Vigoroth, especially with the downturn in Metachamp usage, has regained its title as the #1 save switch in the Great League. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's check out newly buffed Vigoroth in action. Hopping into the first match, leading Defense Deoxys into Lantern. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start, but I will eventually look to save switch into Vigoroth to check and see if they have a counter to normal types in the back. The goal is to throw a Psycho Boost, tank a move, and then it's Vigoroth time. In comes Vigoroth, opponent staying in with their Lantern. They have enough for the Thunderbolt, and I will respect it with a shield, as Vigoroth with an energy advantage and at nearly full health is incredibly deadly. Opponent now going to send in Skarmory. Skarmory, of course, now has access to Steel Wing, and it's very powerful. But this is where Rock Slide is incredibly helpful. It's if I can land a second Rock Slide, I'm going to be able to make a play for Switch or grab their first shield. Sky Attack, that's not going to cut it. Vigoroth making it to Rock Slide number 2, and this is going to grab a shield from my opponent. And now I have energy stored on the Deoxys, so I can go for the Thunderbolt. I've already put pressure on the first shield. Are they willing to double shield the Skarmory? No. Down goes the Skarmory in the back. It's Lickitung, and Obstagoon is looking to sweep. Opponent is going to bank some energy, send in the Lantern, but at this point, Obstagoon is inevitable. And this is part of what makes this strategy very effective, is the Vigoroth save switch. Vigoroth is extremely good in neutral situations now that it has way better coverage, and a way better coverage move at that. And if the opponent does happen to have a counter for normal types, then you can bait it out with the Vigoroth, and then Obstagoon running that legacy combo move of Obstruct is so deadly as a closer. Obstruct does come with its risks. It of course means that the Obstagoon doesn't really have much of anything in terms of coverage moves. However, it can do quite well in a closing role. And now, in the next match, we see Defense Deoxys into Trevenant. Trevenant was one of the main reasons why this team stopped working, was with the introduction of Trevenant. Trevenant destroyed both Vigoroth and Defense Deoxys, so you were just immediately core broken. But Vigoroth now beats Trevenant. Opponent is going to bank some energy on the Trevenant and send in Carbink. I don't have Bulldoze, but honestly that's not really a problem. Bulldoze, as I mentioned earlier, is a pretty terrible move in terms of damage per energy, and Rock Slide is a much better one. So I'm just going to spam out as many Rock Slides as possible. They are able to land the Rock Slide themselves, and it looks like they might be trying for the farm down. Can Vigoroth make it to another Rock Slide? Yes, it can! Vigoroth, an absolute beast on the save switch, with only neutral damage, forces a shield from Carbink. Carbink can go for a move here, but this is fine. Deoxys going to be able to absorb this energy as they go for the Moonblast. I switch into the Obstagoon, and now I have a nice energy lead. Opponent sends in Lantern, and I'm going for the Obstruct right away. I'm not even worried about a no shield. My goal is just to boost up my defense while lowering theirs. And now it's way harder to remove my Obstagoon from the field of play. I'm going to be shielding here. My opponent now has seen Obstruct. I'm going to build up to the Obstruct and go for the Night Slash. I'm hoping now that my opponent is going to no shield, and they do, and that Night Slash does so much damage now that I've lowered their defense. They can fire off a charge move, but I tank whatever they throw. They go for the Surf. I can just fully farm down here. Opponent switches into the Trevenant, and I have the loaded Night Slash. I'm very close to a move on Deoxys, a switch into Deoxys, going for the Psycho Boost. I do lose the CMP tie, but all I have to do is shield. This Psycho Boost will be lethal, getting rid of the Trevenant, and unfortunately for the opponent, the Lantern has just taken far too much damage. In comes the Lantern, Lantern running out of HP, and we take the win. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Defense Deoxys into Lantern. Same game plan as before. My goal here is to go for the Psycho Boost, tank a move, and then save switch into the Vigoroth to see what the opponent might be hiding in the back. I fire off the Psycho Boost, that connects. They fire off their energy right away, and this is terrific. They're not going to have a big energy lead once I send in the Vigoroth. In comes the Vigoroth. Vigoroth farming up energy. Opponent is going to fire off their energy, so I will commit a shield. They go for the Thunderbolt. Opponent now going to send in Skarmory. People really love sending in Skarmory to the Vigoroth safe switch, but with Rock Slide, Vigoroth is 100% okay with that. Vigoroth continuing to farm, opponent firing off energy, and again, this has to be a Brave Bird to KO. It's the Sky Attack, and Vigoroth will make it to Rock Slide number 2. Putting a lot of pressure onto the Skarmory. Skarmory is going to let that through. Skarmory barely able to get the farm down, but now it's my turn to get some farm. I send in Deoxys, get the counter down, and I exit this matchup with energy. What does the opponent have in the back here? They're just going to send in the Lantern, so I don't get to see what's in back yet. I'm firing off the Psycho Boost. That's going to connect. Send in the Obstagoon. In the back, it's Serperior. Okay, so not the Lickitung like last time, where we did see that Skarmory counter switch, but this time it's Serperior, and the Serperior ends up shielding the Obstruct. And now Obstagoon is off to the races. Again, the Vigoroth save switch does a really nice job, I feel it, unlocking the Obstagoon's potential as a closer. They double shield Obstructs, and this game is absolutely over. I'm double boosted in terms of my defense. They're double debuff. Frenzy Plant does absolutely nothing. Obstagoon winning the charge attack priority tie. This Night Slash will secure the knockout. All that's left in the back is the Lantern. Obstagoon makes quick work of it and takes the win. We see a bit of a tricky lead in the next match. Defense Deoxys into Shadow Charizard. I'll be honest, this is not the Fire Flying type I was expecting to see. I was expecting to run into Talonflame. They have enough for the Blast Burn. I respect it, and they do not bait. Speaking of baits though, I build up to the Thunderbolt. I'm going to bait with the Psycho Boost and then look to save switch into Vigoroth. It'll be a CMP type Body Slam to the Blast Burn, so I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to farm up, commit a shield, and now I should be able to win this just going straight Body Slam. So my opponent doesn't really have a reason to shield as they can't make it to another Blast Burn. So they're just going to let that go. Opponent now going to send in Wigglytuff, and Wigglytuff not going to appreciate the neutral Body Slam spam from the Vigoroth. Vigoroth continuing to farm. Vigoroth making it to another Body Slam. This will be getting Wigglytuff deep into the red. Wigglytuff is going to commit the shield. Switch clock comes up. In comes the Deoxys, and I make it to the Psycho Boost. And Wigglytuff is going to lose a ton of energy. The Wigglytuff's gone. The Charizard's gone. In the back, oh no, it's Lickitung. The opponent doesn't know it yet, but Lickitung's worst nightmare, Obstagoon, is lurking in the back. And they're farming up a massive amount of energy with the Lickitungs. It looks like they might be trying to commit to a farm down here. They can get all the energy in the world, but it's not going to save them from Obstagoon. They do get that farm down. In comes the Obstagoon. Opponent firing off energy right away. Body Slam, not going to do a whole lot of damage. I don't get my counter through there, which is a bit unfortunate, but it shouldn't impact the outcome of the game, as Obstagoon can still tank another Body Slam as needed. They do make it to a third Body Slam, but again, even without the Obstruct buff, Obstagoon able to withstand all 3 charge moves, and Night Slash is going to deliver the knockout onto the Lickitung. Picking up a very nice lead in the next match, Defense Deoxys into Bastiodon. If my opponent stays in, however, I'm actually going to look to save switch. So I'm going to save switch into the Vigoroth. Opponent going to respond with Poliwrath. So it's very good that I switched out there. I have 3 counters to Bastiodon on the team, but I need to save switch into Vigoroth to check and see, do they have a counter to the normal types lurking in the back? And they do. It's Poliwrath. Poliwrath goes for the Icy Wind. Icy Wind, unfortunately, means they are going to be able to tank this Body Slam and get the farm down, but this should potentially set up a farm down for the Deoxys, and Deoxys does get the farm down. That's quite nice. In the back, opponent has Quagsire. Thankfully, it's not another fighter, and this is looking like, now that we've gotten that Poliwrath out of the way, it's looking like an Obstagoon sweep, so we may as well start going for Obstruct. Buffing our defense, lowering theirs, and this Bastiodon is about to have an absolutely awful day. They're taking double super effective damage from counter, and now my defense is raised, and theirs is lowered. And look at this beautiful farm down from the Obstagoon. Opponent knows it's over, and they concede the match. We've got a Core Breaker on the lead in the next match, Defense Deoxys into Charjabug. Honestly, I'm pretty surprised to see Charjabug here, as Charjabug definitely not a fan of the resurgence of fire types this season. But it's here, so we're going to have to deal with it. I Psycho Boost and dip into the Vigoroth. We can tank an X-Scissor here. Opponent ends up going for the Discharge. Discharge and X-Scissor do the same amount of damage, but the X-Scissor is actually slightly less energy. They send in Poliwrath to counter the Vigoroth safe switch, and that is what we needed to bait out. Unfortunately, I die with the second Body Slam. Getting there would have been massive, but due to the chip from that discharge, I'm not quite able to get there. And now I send in the Deoxys. Deoxys going to have to take a Scald here from the Poliwrath. Poliwrath lands the Scald. They get the debuff. That is really unfortunate. And I'm going to fire off the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost will get the KO. But now my attack is at -3, which means even if I can make it to a Psycho Boost, it's going to do absolutely nothing to the Charjabug. I fire it off anyway. Opponent is going to let that through. I send in the Obstagoon, and I will be shielding up the X-Scissor. The hope is that now that I've gotten the Poliwrath out of the way, the Obstagoon can sweep, but it's a Azumarill in the back. We're just triple hard countered, and I resign the match. Picking up a pretty nice lead in the next match, which defends Deoxys into Skarmory. I'm going to build up to the Thunderbolt, bait with the Psycho Boost, because I'm expecting they're shielding no matter what, and then I am going to look to save switch into the Vigoroth. They go for the Sky Attack on the CMP tie, and Thunderbolt would hit for massive super effective damage. So Skarmory is going to shield, and now I can save switch into the Vigoroth. Farming up energy with the Vigoroth. Opponent fires off their energy, and I'm going to be shielding. Let's keep ourselves nice and healthy. I'm going to look to overfarm quite a bit, go for the Rock Slide, but the opponent makes an immaculate prediction as they're able to catch the Rock Slide onto Whiscash. What an unbelievable prediction by my opponent. Very, very nicely done. As now I waste a bunch of energy on a move that is not doing a lot of damage. Whiscash going to be firing off the Scald. Can Vigoroth survive here? Scald, Vigoroth. Vigoroth hangs on. I do get debuffed, which means they're going to be able to live the Body Slam. But man, Vigoroth able to put in a nice amount of work. Deoxys looking for the farm down, but Whiscash with the 1 HP survive, able to make it to the Mud Bomb. Is my opponent going to send in Skarmory? No. They bring in Lickitung, and I make a mistake. I should just go for the Psycho Boost and dip here, but I go for the Thunderbolt. In comes the Skarmory, and you already know I'm going for the Obstruct. They can go for the Brave Bird, but Brave Bird is not going to matter when my defense is buffed. I'm going to be able to take this damage, farm down, and look to inflict some damage onto the Lickitung. I get the farm down, opponent sends back in the Lickitung, and I have the Night Slash ready to go. They're going to have to go for a Body Slam. If they overfarm correctly, I could be in a bit of trouble here, as I did go for the Thunderbolt instead of the Psycho Boost like I should have earlier. But as it turns out, they do not overfarm enough. My Deoxys is barely able to make it to the Psycho Boost, so some definite misplays in that game. A beautiful catch by my opponent, but we are still able to take the win. We've got a cool lead from the opponent in the next match, defends Deoxys into Shadow Dragonair. Deoxys has the pacing advantage. I make it to the Psycho Boost 2 turns before they make their Body Slam. Psycho Boost will hurt, so the opponent is going to commit a shield. I save switch into Vigoroth, and the opponent is going to respond with Defense Deoxys. This is a bit of a rare sight, a counter user that actually does resist counter. The most common one, of course, previously was going to be Medicham, but Medicham definitely seems missing in action to start this season. Vigoroth, however, can still put up a heck of a fight versus Deoxys, getting Deoxys pretty close to 25% HP. So pretty nicely done there by Vigoroth, and now I can just bring in my own Deoxys. My goal is to shield the Thunderbolt, counter down, and then leave with a bunch of Psycho Boosts to threaten the Dragonair. I'm looking for the farm down. Opponent is going to make it to a move. It is just a Psycho Boost, but a Psycho Boost will get me perilously close to Body Slam range. I leave with the Psycho Boost loaded so I can click it when they send in the Dragonair. Unfortunately, I believe this is the game where it just didn't register the tap, or maybe I tapped slightly too late, but it doesn't register the tap, and they do get a Dragon Breath through as I go for the Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost is shielded. I send in the Obstagoon in the back. It's a Clodsire, and this game, it's going to be tough, but it does look winnable. I'm going to be firing off the Obstruct. Obstruct, of course, is going to be buffing my defense while lowering theirs because I need to tank moves here. Opponent is going to be going for the harder hitting Earthquake as they need to get some damage onto the Obstagoon. And here, I'm over farming, but realistically, I should be going for the Obstruct right away as I need to debuff their attack. Well, not debuff their attack per se, but buff my defense as early as I possibly can. Now I go for the Night Slash. I'm 2 stages buffed. Can I tank the Earthquake? I try and go for the combo play, but I accidentally catch the Stone Edge. And that's a game-losing play right there. Oh, that is so unfortunate. I thought I was going to be able to switch. Switch clock came up, but the opponent fired off the Stone Edge at that exact moment, and we dropped the game. we're hopping into the final match, and what do you know, leading Deoxys into yet another Lantern. Lantern just seems absolutely unavoidable this season. It is everywhere. They go for the Thunderbolt on the CMP tie as I fire off the Psycho Boost, and that's perfectly fine. I would rather them go for the Thunderbolt here, as now they don't have a lot of energy when I send in the Vigoroth. Opponent is going to send in the Poliwrath, but I do have a bit of an energy lead, so let's see what Vigoroth can do. That Body Slam connects. Vigoroth has the Poliwrath pretty close to the red health already, and even if they go for the Icy Wind here, I should be able to force Switch Advantage or a shield with the Body Slam. Let's see it. Body Slam out of the Poliwrath does get the shield. So despite the fact that that's a terrible matchup, Vigoroth, even only using the counter Body Slam combination, still able to force a shield. Like, the counter Body Slam combination was already so good, but now it's just made so much better by the fact that it has access to Rock Slide. As Rock Slide just really complements the offensive coverage of fighting in normal really nicely. They're going to be firing off the Surf, but it's not going to matter, as they have the Dugong in the back, and the opponent concedes the match. All in all, I think Vigoroth is back in a major way. Previously, it was absolutely everywhere in any limited cup that you saw, but it didn't really see a ton of play in the Open Great League. And honestly, I think it's back as an extremely viable Open Great League option. Especially in this particular team, it's pretty amazing how this triple counter team was created by Wallower seasons and seasons and seasons back, and it's still aged pretty well. Like, the team still puts in a lot of work despite a ton of meta changes. With the Trevenant update, it made it tough to run for a few seasons, but Triple Counter and Vigoroth as a whole, now that it has access to Rock Slide, they're back, and back in a major way. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.